Apparently, it sounds like police are going to start coming out into the streets and detaining people.
Trust is huge, and that's why instilling this fear from authorities is going to make it even harder for us to gain their trust.
Possibly by force, the way they've been doing with the ICE raids. So that may cause a lot of fear, commotion, and uncertainty.
A community health group which provides medical services to homeless people in Los Angeles says it fears removal by the military. This comes after U.S. President Trump said he was deploying 800 National Guard troops to Washington and temporarily taking over the city's police department to fight crime. Trump also vowed to remove homeless encampments, an extraordinary assertion of presidential power in the nation's capital.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor. And worse. This is Liberation Day in DC, and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the DC Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged-out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes through our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work, it's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said zero for the last 3 months. Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, when you take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. D.C., 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. That where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse.
Trump signaled that other major U.S. cities with Democratic leadership could be next, including Chicago and Los Angeles.
Si lo llegaran a hacer, creo que sí lo van a hacer, va a causar un impacto bastante serio en todos los que estamos sin hogar, ¿me entiendes? Estamos aquí sin hogar y a veces algunos enfermos, otros con problemas mentales, ¿me entiendes? En este parque hay de todo en este parque, ¿me entiendes? Y si llegara a pasar como dijeron que iba a pasar, va a causar un gran problema para todos Los Ángeles.
En cambio, yo sí tengo miedo porque yo tengo mi gata y mi perro y si me agarran, ¿cómo le voy a hacer para verlos, para darles de comer? Pues, ese es el miedo que yo tengo. Por eso yo no salgo, desde que empezó eso yo no salgo. Yo estoy encerrado ya nomás, pero no salgo.
I think the new executive order is geared towards picking up homeless people in the streets that are actively doing drugs and taking them into some sort of detention center where they can start the rehab process. I'm not sure how effective that's going to be, but apparently it sounds like police are going to start coming out into the streets and detaining people, possibly by force, the way they've been doing with the ICE raids. So that may cause a lot of fear, commotion, and uncertainty among people in communities like here in Macarthur Park. We'll have to see how that plays out. Hopefully it's not as traumatic as the ICE raids have been. It would be difficult for us to continue to carry out these kind of services. We would have funding cuts. The money that we get from these grants, we use it to purchase medication, to purchase vaccines, to purchase materials for wound care, just to carry out our whole medical operation every day. So it would definitely take a hit. We would have less resources to be able to provide to the community.
Trust is huge, and that's why like instilling this fear from authorities is going to make it even harder for us to gain their trust. And it's taken weeks and months to get some patients even to just say, okay, like I'll come back on Monday and see you again. And like, okay, I'll switch over to have you be my primary care so that you can place an order for an x-ray for me. And it takes a lot of time because they don't all have our trust initially, which is understandable. So it's really rewarding once we finally get a little bit of trust, and to have that go away or to have them be scared to even come here would be a shame.
It is the second time this summer that the Republican president has deployed troops to a democratically governed city. A federal trial began in San Francisco on whether Trump violated U.S. law by deploying National Guard troops to Los Angeles in June without the approval of California Governor Gavin Newsom.